Every year, children around the United States get a Monday off in October because of Christopher Columbus, the man who discovered America, made peace with the Native Americans, and made everything happy and great. Right? Well, not so much. For decades now, kids in the American school system have been learning about Christopher Columbus, but they're learning false information. When I was a 5th grader, I thought that Columbus was this great guy who discovered my country, proved the earth was round, and sat down with the Native Americans, cut the turkey, and had Thanksgiving. All of this was a lie, and we continue to perpetuate this lie because of, well, I'm not too sure. Maybe it's just tradition at this point, or maybe people are just too stubborn, but let's get into the real truth behind Christopher Columbus and how he was not the savior we all thought he was. By the end of the 15th century, it was nearly impossible to go from Europe to Asia by land. So Christopher Columbus, a merchant from Italy, came up with the idea to sail around the continent of Africa to get to Asia. He incorrectly argued that the circumference or size of the Earth was much smaller than what scholars believed it was, so it would be easy to sail around Africa. He presented his plan to officials in Portugal and England, but it wasn't until 1492 that he found people who were willing to listen: the Spanish monarchs Ferdinand of Aragon and Isabella of Castile. Columbus wanted fame and fortune, and Ferdinand and Isabella wanted the exact same thing, so why not work together to discover a new trade passage which would put more money into everyone's pockets? Columbus's contract with the Spanish rulers promised that he could keep 10% of whatever riches he found, along with a noble title and governorship of any lands he should encounter. That's important for later. Columbus became ecstatic about the possible opportunity to convert whatever people he found on his voyage to Catholicism, the religion he practiced. For months, Columbus sailed from his ships, including the Santa Maria, looking for treasures such as gold, pearls, and silver. His countless journeys would end up finding himself in the Bahamas, not Asia or North America. So in fact, Columbus didn't discover the Americas. He didn't even land on them, nor was he the first European to visit the New World. Viking Leif Erikson sailed to Greenland in the 11th century, which is why some people choose to celebrate Leif Erikson Day. But Columbus sailed the seas a 3rd time, and this time he ended up in South America. After South America, he wound up back to a Hispaniola settlement he found some years earlier that he left to his brother Diego. When he returned in 1498, he was surprised to find that the colonists had actually revolted against his brother. The conditions were so bad that Spanish authorities had to send in a new governor to take over. Meanwhile, the native Tainao population, which was forced by Columbus to search for gold and to work on his plantations, was decimated. Within 60 years after Columbus landed, only a few hundred of what had been over 250,000 Tainao were left on their island. So our old friend Christopher Columbus was arrested and returned to Spain in chains. In 1502, he was cleared of all of his serious charges, but he was stripped of his noble titles. But old Columbus, who was aging at this point, convinced the Spanish royals to fund one last voyage at sea. This time, Columbus made it all the way to Panama, just a few miles away from the Pacific Ocean. He had to abandon 2 of his 4 ships after damage from storms and hostile natives. Columbus returned to Spain defeated and empty-handed and died there in 1506. He was 55 years old. Columbus's explorations generated benefits but also had dire consequences. African coffee and Asian sugar canes became absolute cash crops in Latin America. American foods like corn, tomatoes, and potatoes were introduced into European diets. But Columbus also brought with him war and disease, which wiped out entire native populations. So just to recap quickly, Columbus did not discover America. He actually was a failed explorer who was arrested and brought back in chains. So why do we celebrate Columbus Day? Well, during the 1800s, the idea of celebrating Christopher Columbus and his discovery became popular among the general public, and politicians took note. Presidential candidates who supported making Columbus Day a national celebration got an increase in support and votes. So, in 1892, Benjamin Harrison made Columbus Day a one-time national celebration, and it was seen as an act of patriotism. It was dubbed Columbus Day during the Roosevelt administration in 1937, and in 1971, Richard Nixon officially made October 12th the national holiday of Columbus Day. During its earlier years, and even somewhat now, Columbus Day has been seen as a symbol of pride for Italian Americans who were persecuted and discriminated against in 1800s America. But as an Italian American myself, I don't really feel that way at all, but that could just be me. Over the past decade, people have been pushing for Columbus Day to be changed to Indigenous Peoples Day to honor those whose ancestors were discriminated against and killed by violence. 13 states have already changed the name, and people are aiming at the White House to officially make it the national holiday instead of Columbus Day. But they are also facing opposition from those who enjoy Columbus Day, so we may be in some deadlock for some time. I myself don't really see a problem with making Columbus Day Indigenous Peoples Day. I don't really have an attachment to Columbus Day. I feel that Columbus Day is based off of a giant lie that we're teaching our children in our school system, so I really don't see the point of Columbus Day. If it's a patriotism thing, there are plenty of other holidays that celebrate America, and in my opinion, you don't really need a holiday to celebrate America or be a patriot. You can do that on your own time. But that's just my opinion. Do you believe we should celebrate Columbus Day, or should we embrace the change and celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day? Let me know what you think. Thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch this. I'll leave the link to my Twitter and Discord server in the description, and as always, I'll see you on the flip side.
Because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. Motherfucking boss.